Hopefully spin in the house.
She's never does. It's not going to great.
All right. All of the technology up here says 6 p.m., so we're going to call this meeting to order. Please join me in this Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up is the approval of the agenda. Are there any edits to the agenda tonight?
I would like to make some additions to the agenda tonight. I would like to add under new business an email for the chair for the Planning Commission. For the first one, under new business. The second one, I would like discussion on the formal complaint that all of the planning commissioners have in front of them for the second edition. And for the third, I would like to add soil friends discussion for the third under new business.
Sandy, do you want those after the rezone?
Yes, let's do them after the rezone.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as changed with the additions of the chair email and the formal complaint and soil friends.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Commissioner Weintraub. All in favor of approval of the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, next up, approval of the minutes. We have the March 12th, 2026 minutes. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Looking for a motion.
If there's no changes, I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes from March 12th, 2026.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Commissioner Weintraub for the approval of the March 12th, 2026 minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. We are now going to open up citizen comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only for one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with planning and zoning staff to discuss your comments further. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. I'd like to know why the other night, when everything wasn't read when they reopened Soil Friends, instead you just like backstabbed them. That should have been read too. All the documents that was signed by the board to open them back up with no problem. And as an attorney, you should know what was going on with that. You don't because you weren't here. The other attorney was. This is why we want her back. She knows the ins and outs. She knows everything about this battery plant. Something's got to be done here. And all these crooked people have to get off this board like Mr. Sherwood. He ought to step down too. It ain't the good old boys club no more. You guys are trying to fix this and this rezoning and everything. Trying to take this store down here. Get up for a minute, no. He's not gonna sell that to you. He has no intention of giving it to you guys. We don't need no apartments down there. They're not low income. You guys better look at the facts that you have to fix. As you come off from East Michigan there's no buildings in there with busted out windows. There's a place down here with a roof that ain't even done. That's real appealing. That needs to be fixed. Instead, you guys are worried about that place down there where you guys can put apartments, and you're worried about that. I can't even think of his name, the one that wants to build those little houses. Those aren't low income neither. That's just a waste. Look at the ones that he built up there that are already falling down. Up there on East Main. I mean, it's just, you know, you guys are trying to help this town, but instead, you're not taking the advice of the residents. They pay you. We pay you. Where do you think your money comes from? Us. You work for us, the residents. We ought to have the votes on this planning commission. We ought to have the votes on the board. This is getting ridiculous. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. I'm not criticizing you guys. You guys are trying to be fair. But you got one up there that's pocketing money. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Trolley. I think this is where ordinance kind of happen and everything like that, where you guys kind of make the ordinances up. I think we need to have an ordinance for sidewalks for downtown Comstock, especially in the wintertime. You see people walking on the road and everything down that, you know, crossing the walk where it's not supposed to be. I truly think we need to have something like the city of Kalamazoo has, or, you know, City of Portage has it too and everything. Something like where you got to remove the snow off of the sidewalk within 48 hours after the snow. You know, like that one side of the bridge was horrible and people were just walking in the street. It's not good. And I think it would also improve downtown Comstock too. You know, you wouldn't have kids walking in the street. You wouldn't have homeless walking in the street. They could actually use the sidewalks. You know, I don't know if you put it on the owners, don't know if you just hire someone in a small tractor to go do it really fast. I don't know. I really feel like that should be something that needs to be kind of looked at or worked on before this next winter. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. If there's no further citizen comments, we'll be moving on to new business. And the first item under new business is the rezoning request and public hearing for 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee Avenue. Casey?
Yes, so you all are familiar with this rezoning request from Mr. Mark Zanotti. He is not here today, as he is a retiree and travels a lot. So if there are any questions, hopefully I can answer them for you all. So the applicant owns 2 contiguous parcels on Lee Ave and East Main. In the 90s, he purchased them, and he is 100% sure that they were zoned B3 General Business District when he brought them. However, now, as you'll see when I scroll down through the packet, they are now split zoned R1A and B3. The applicant received a fee waiver from the Township Board, so that's why this is back for you all, and he believes this is an error on the Township's behalf. We'll go through the property and the existing site information. It is a split zoning, so as I said, R1A, residential, and B3 commercial district, and the uses are commercial building on the commercial on the East Main parcel, and then on Lee Ave there is a residential house there. To the north you have R1A residential, to the south you have B3, which is uses commercial, east R1A residential, and to the west it's residential. It's covered as K Township. I cannot see the zoning from our zoning maps. The East Main parcel is about 3.4 acres, and Lee Ave parcel is 0.76 acres. There are 4 considerations that I would ask the board to consider when making a finding. And the first one is whether the rezoning is consistent with the policies and uses proposed for that area and the township's master land use plan. The area, both parcels are zoned in the future land use map as mixed commercial, so therefore the rezone request to change it to B3 General Business District is consistent with the master land use plan. And then whether all the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with other zones and uses in the surrounding area. So consider the zoning and uses for the abutting parcels, which I also listed above and have here as well. 3, whether any public services and facilities would be significantly adversely impacted by development or use allowed under the requested rezoning. So here's a quick overview of the services in this area. Public water is available on East Main. Public sewer does not run to the west of North Sprinkle, so therefore it is not available at these parcels. Traffic levels are not expected to increase significantly if the rezone were to go through, and public services and facilities are not anticipated to be significantly adversely impacted. 4, with uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area than uses allowed under the current zoning of the land. As you guys evaluate this factor, refer to the attached ordinance snippets and uses allowed in the zoning districts. Also, can you consider uses found in the area? Go through the packet. I have the R1A zoning standards along with the B3 general business standards, which is what the request for the rezone is for. I also have clips or snippets from our zoning map that show the parcel as split zoned. Here is the letter from Mark Zanotti that he hopes will fill in his absence, along with his application. And then he has minutes and evidence that that should prove he believes that this is a mistake. In 1992, the minutes show it as B3. His tax bill is billed commercial, for the evidence that he provided. And then we have the zoning map here. It's probably better in you guys' packet, but just the current zoning map, you can see it is split zoned. Future land use map has it as mixed commercial. And then as we go through, I believe I have zoning maps from 1980, 1992, and 2006. Some maps show it as split zone, some maps show it as one zoning district. So there is a clear discrepancy between the maps as we scroll through them. And that's all I have for this request.
Thank you, Casey. So this is a public hearing, so my recommendation is that we be looking for a motion to open public hearing, and then we can have our discussion after.
I move we open the public hearing. Support for this request.
Motion made to open public hearing by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Secretary Kreitzer. Roll call vote?
Yes. 1 second. Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Yes.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Secretary Kreitzer?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. Public hearing is now open for the 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee Avenue rezone request.
You want this rezoned for all residential, or how does he want that rezoned? I'm sorry.
It's just for this specific parcel that he believes has been, well, it is split
That
zoned,
one that was
so
here
it's just
the other
addressing
night.
his.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious on how that was. I was trying to get the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really supposed to comment back,
I know.
but
I know.
just for clarity for everyone.
Yeah, I think you guys ought to make it into one parcel. In my opinion, if he's paying for 2, he ought to just be paying for 1, if it was a mistake.
I want to see if there's other public comment.
Any others?
Yeah. Any other comments on the public hearing?
I make a motion to close public hearing for, what's the address there? 5057 East Main and 1654 Lay Avenue.
Support. Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Commissioner Weintraub, to close public hearing. We need a roll call.
Preference.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. All right, I'd like to have us discuss each of the findings of fact so that we can make sure that all of them are addressed. So if we can first just start with number one, I'd open discussion around whether the rezoning is consistent with the policies and uses proposed for that area. Does anyone have discussions, concerns? We have the staff finding that it's consistent, but if there's any disagreement, great. Okay. We'll move on to number two, whether all of the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with other zones. Thoughts about that? Any discussion there?
No.
In my opinion, I think it actually makes more sense for it to be, to not be residential. It's not really.
a very desirable area for a home.
Benjamin.
Not a very desirable area for a home. There's fewer and fewer in that location.
It's a commercial corridor. It's consistent, so.
All right, we'll move on to number three, whether any public services and facilities would be significantly adversely impacted by development or use allowed under the rezoning. Any discussion? Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Yep.
Okay. So we all agree that we're not worried about the facilities. Okay. And then number four, really we just, any commentary, if you looked at the two zoning ordinances and the uses within them, we want to make sure that the uses are equal or better suited to the parcel.
It's definitely better suited for commercial.
Any other comments? I would agree. I think the general business uses are much better suited, and I think it will probably make the land more usable, both for the applicant and honestly for the township.
And for future
Development.
So tonight, is there any further discussion on this?
No, this piece of property's been controversial for a lot of years because part of the pool system was residential, part of it was commercial. The house, before somebody actually went in and rebuilt all this house and stuff, you know, that was residential. So it's just been like this for 25 years. So I can't see somebody turning down that nice house to put commercial there, but consumers across the street or the granite shop or whatever, and this corridor here, so it's probably going to make more sense to make it all commercial.
Yeah, the house is already, a non-conforming or a special use situation because it's in the B3 area. And I think anytime we have a parcel that has been split zoned like that, it should be, it's kind of best policy to correct that. The property owner is entitled to that consistency, so.
I would agree with that as well. All right, so as a reminder, our bylaws would state that that this would get tabled unless anyone wants to make a motion to address the bylaws tonight.
I move that we bypass our bylaws and move forward on this tonight.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Secretary Kreitzer, to waive our bylaws. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote, Casey.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Secretary Kreitzer?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Commissioner Nowak?
yes.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Yes.
Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, then we'd be looking for a motion on whatever action we want to take.
I move that we recommend rezoning of 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee. The portions that are currently in the residential zone be rezoned to B3.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield, to recommend rezoning for 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee Avenue for both parcels to be B3, so correcting the residential to a B3 zone. Can we do a roll call vote for that, Casey?
Yes. Commissioner Sherwood?
Yes.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Secretary Kreitzer?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda is email for the chair. Treasurer Bloomfield, do you want to?
Sure, thank you. I seem to get emails that I feel should be going to the chair of the Planning Commission that I end up directing to her anyway. So I feel like, for transparency, and to move business forward for residents and builders, that it would be a good thing if she had an email that was for the chair for the Planning Commission. I feel like I'm getting some of those emails that she should be getting.
Are you suggesting that that be on the Comstock
Yes.
Township? Who's in charge of that? Who would we have to petition to do that?
I believe Brett is, and I am the only one with public, I think out of all of us, public designated email right now that
I think
they
your
seem to-
suggestion is very good. I think the chairman should have a Comstock available email so that people can address them.
I would just add that it's normally my recommendation that all township boards, all members have a township email address. You know, when you receive packets and all, and correspondence from the township, it should all be going to you as a comstocktownship.org email address, and not your personal emails. That opens up your personal emails to potential discovery and review by court, and it also, if it's all through a township email address, then it's easier if we get a FOIA. They can just, the IT department can just pull the emails from your township email address. So I normally recommend that all the members of the ZBA have a township email, all the members of the Planning Commission have, but at a minimum, we should have, our chair should have one, at a minimum. I think everybody should have one, but at a minimum, we should have the chair.
I would be amenable to that.
Yep.
And I think these emails, like this one, should go to our zoning administrator also, so she doesn't get blindsided when she comes in and the papers are laying on the desk. Because we've been through this before. So, and to me, this is ex parte communication also, when they're dealing with somebody that already has site plan use and whatnot, because it's supposed to go through the zoning administrator. So that's my thought. These should be CC'd to the zoning administrator.
Well, I think if we have email addresses available online, you know, they should at least have the chair's email on the webpage and the zoning administrators, so emails can be directed in that way.
How should we proceed? Can we perhaps have a motion where we request an email address or suggest that they maybe be set up for boards and commissions so that it can be approved by the township board?
Yeah, and maybe at a minimum, the chair, but, yeah, I mean, you could recommend that all have an email address.
Do we need township board approval? Can I just take it to our superintendent Hess and our IT people and go that way? Because I hear the desires. I don't know if we need.
Is there a cost?
No.
Guys, is there a cost involved, like with that? And if so, that would just fall under our budget anyway, right?
Yeah, not that I know of. No costs involved to add more emails.
And
Okay.
if there was, it would come out of the planning commission
Which
budget.
it's got to be
It can't be.
small, right? Okay. Casey, is that something you can just follow up on? And then if we need a motion,
Did we have a motion? I would move that we request Comstock Township.com email addresses, or .gov, I guess it is, for all board members, including the chairman.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Secretary Kreitzer, to get Comstock.gov email addresses for all the board members and the chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no? Motion passes. All right. Okay, number 2, formal complaint.
This is another reason why I asked for email for the chair at least, and when this came in today, I did forward it to the attorney and to the chair, so all of you have it. I think that I will let the attorney take this from here.
All right, so, I mean, this goes to what we've talked about. I've talked about it, I think probably twice at least, but at least once, I've talked about, what we put out on social media as board members. It's different for a citizen out in the general public. They say what they want to say and do what they want to do. But once we're board members, we have a different obligation. We have an obligation as a planning commissioner to carry forward our fiduciary duties and fiduciary capacity as a township representative, as a planning commission representative. And as I've talked about before, we should not be commenting on anything that comes before us. So if something is coming before us, we should not be making any social media one way or another about it, that you're in favor, because your body is going to have to address these things. It has to be an unbiased decision maker in these items. You have a fiduciary duty to carry that forward. And so, I would say anything that may come, anything that is before us and anything that we've acted on, because they may come back to amend something, and if we've said whatever, what that does is it nullifies your ability to participate in it further. So basically you're conflicting yourself out by things that you say on social media, and that should not happen, and we should not be doing that at all. And we've talked about that before. I don't know if we need to put something into our bylaws. I don't believe that we have anything on that in our bylaws, but maybe suggest that we put something in our bylaws that say it's misfeasance to comment on items that are before the planning commission, or even items that we've acted on that could come back before us because we've already, it's subject to special land use or something. If we go out, we're basically conflicting ourselves out, which pretty much can be misfeasance, but I think it needs to be specifically called out. It's not as clear unless we put it in our bylaws. So that's be my suggestion is, obviously, we can't make public comments like that about things that are coming in front of us. So the best way, my recommendation in dealing with that is put something into our bylaws so that, if it does happen, there's specific violation that can be acted on.
Anyone else? Discussion?
Oh, I think that's well, I don't know if we want to discuss this particular situation. Do we need to address this complaint?
Well, I think it's a general, in terms of the complaint, yeah, we can address that. My feeling is that we need to add something into our bylaws to make it.
No, I agree completely. I'm not sure I feel qualified to try to write that. Could you present us with a paragraph that we could approve?
If that's what the planning commission decides.
I think we would just need a motion if we want Attorney Fell to do that. Beautiful.
I propose a motion that we ask our attorney to prepare a paragraph to be included in our bylaws that would address this kind of malfeasance or misfeasance or whatever it would be.
Support.
Misfeasance. Motion made by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Secretary Kreitzer, to direct the attorney to draft up an addition to the bylaws to address social media commentary, public commentary that might result in misfeasance. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Secretary Kreitzer?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
And then I would make another comment with regard to the complaint, because it's specific to the Soil Friends issue, that Commissioner Sherwood would not be able to participate in decisions regarding Soil Friends because of the public commenting on it.
Decisions and discussion, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Because it sets up a conflict of interest issue, and we really have to protect ourselves, protect the township and the planning commission from suit in that regard. And it can work to nullify good work and decisions that you make if there's any kind of bias associated with it.
Okay.
Can I have permission to speak, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I do want to make this clear that I received this email today, and I forwarded it to the chair and to the attorney. So there is no ex parte for me with this, as I always seem to get accused of. So that is one thing that I am really glad to see, that now the chair and the rest of you will have emails as well. So thanks for helping me out on this. I appreciate it. And we need to learn to keep our mouths shut. It's that simple. We shouldn't be discussing these things. I mean, it's just not professional. It doesn't look good. And as the treasurer, it concerns me for legalities. We don't need another lawsuit from anyone. So I think we need to all mind our P's and Q's. Thank you.
Thank you. And Attorney Thal, that's correct, right? There's no, if a resident emails her because she has a,
No, it doesn't nullify
Right.
anything. I don't have any email strings or anything back and forth, discussions, so forth.
right,
That was forwarded to us directly, you and I, so
okay.
I don't see an issue with that.
I just thought it was worth
It-
saying so that,
Yeah, and I would,
It's out there.
you know, when we get maybe, you know, in consideration of the emails, probably on the website, I mean, I think your email's already on there. But I would probably say that you probably, I don't know that you want to put everybody's email on there, but I would at least put the chair's email on there for, you know, somebody
for
felt like they had to reach out to the chair.
okay,
One more thing, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
You know, with this set of emails here back and forth, I don't know, maybe the person who sent these back and forth needs to have a conversation with maybe the attorney or the chair or Casey to explain things to them to stop the disinformation. It could be helpful. Just a thought. I don't know what the rest of the board feels, but.
Are you referring to the comments that were shared?
Yes, I am.
I guess so just so I'm clear,
So if there's anything in this that is not true, do we address it or do we let it go? Do we answer?
I don't think you answer. I
Okay.
think what you do is you set your policy, which you're directed me to prepare, which is going to prevent, you know, it will clearly set out its misfeasance to engage in these type of discussions, whether it's truthful, untruthful, whatever, you just can't do it. And I don't know that we should be getting into whether something's truthful or not truthful on social media.
Okay.
That's just,
I'm fine with
yeah.
that.
okay? All right. Third item is Soil Friends discussion, so.
And this one was an email also I received today. And Casey, I can't remember if I copied you on this. I didn't. I'm sorry. I meant to. I'm sorry. Because I thought you should have it. I would prefer if you would read this since you are, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But could you do that for me?
Sure.
Thank you.
From Bit Martin, sales@soilfriends.com to Sandy Bloomfield, S. Bloomfield at comstockmi.gov. Good morning. Please share with the planning committee so this communication is provided uniformly. Further request to review Soil Friends SPU, I think that's supposed to be SLU, special land use or special exception use. So I will correct that as I read this. And review of our business after major investment for 3 years in such a rotten political climate in Comstock Township and retaliation for previous litigation, I'm wondering how many special land uses this board requires 3 years annual review. Considering all the licensing we have with the state and county, this seems to be something this board is not applying consistently. I'm requesting removal of the annual review effective immediately. I'm also requesting removal of any change in license type requires planning commission approval if we have not changed that already with the music. As the state regulations control this matter, as we have already removed the barriers for music, but because that was conflicting with state law. I'm requesting any increase in production beyond a small winemaker license requires planning commission approval to be removed. It's not up to the planning commission. Also, I'm requesting access to East Main pending road commission approval if we so desire to move forward with creating access. Hours from 9 to 9, I'm requesting the township consider the noise ordinance and allow us to be open later than 9 p.m. I'm also requesting in writing to Soil Friends that our special land use with Comstock Township is in good standing. I look forward to working with this board and cleaning up the government overreach that has been happening with my business. My attorney, Joe Infante, with Miller Canfield, has advised me accordingly. Then there's an attachment of the, I believe, April 27, 2023 meeting minutes when Soil Friends received their special land use approval, special exception use approval at that time. That lists the conditions. Sarah Martin, owner, Soil Friends LLC.
Thank you, Casey. All right, so
I would note in those conditions, if you've looked at those, at the bottom, it says Coffin restated that any condition can be changed in the future with mutual agreement and in writing. So, just so you're aware of that part of it.
May I ask a question to Attorney Thaw?
go ahead.
So would that mean no public hearing is needed, or is that?
No, I believe, that I would have to look into a little bit more, whether there's a public hearing needed to, but I know that you can enter into mutual agreement in writing with the applicant to revise the special land use conditions. So whether it would need a public hearing to do that, I'm not certain offhand. But I do know that you can do that with mutual agreement if the board so chooses to do that.
So for clarification, if we agree on whatever, we say, hey, we're gonna change X, and that works for Soil Friends, and there's a mutual agreement that they like that, then that's an in-writing decision pending whether or not we have to have a hearing.
Yeah, and I have to say, I just got this, obviously,
Sure.
I got this today.
Move forward on all these.
You know, and so I did not have time to delve into it any deeper. You know, if I had more time, then obviously my days are busy and, you know, and so, you know, if you wanted to even set this at like your next meeting for the discussion on what's needed to address it, or even a public hearing, if a public hearing is required, you know, move it forward to a public hearing if that's required. If not, just be addressing these conditions at your next planning commission meeting.
I don't believe we had a public hearing when we removed the state
Well, that one,
violation ones.
no, and that specifically, I said that doesn't need it because it's not, in my opinion, was not lawful. It conflicted with, it conflicted with the Liquor Control Commission rules. And so that I did not think, I thought we need to just deal with that immediately and remove that. But the other standards, you know, those are discretionary standards, you know, whether you would require a review, whether, you know, what kind of hours that you would allow for use, those types of things. Those are conditions that you put on there that you can condition under the liquor control regulations. And to that regard, you know, you probably would want to have engaged Soil Friends in discussion at a, you know, as a formal item to discuss like what kind of hours, are they looking for? What, we see some things in this letter, is that enough to provide us, guidance, or would we want to engage in? I think it should be an actual item on the agenda to deal with these issues. And if we need to set it for public hearing, we could do that, but otherwise we can just do it at a future meeting.
I have a question on the change in license type requires planning commission approval, and then in their letter, they're stating that that's not, it's not up to us. I'm sorry, requesting increase in production beyond small winemaker license requires planning commission approval to be removed. It's not up to the planning commission. Would that fall under the same stipulation of, like, if that's not us, is that something that should be addressed?
So most of the regulations still allow for locational controls. So, I don't know that that's necessarily like just out the door, but it can be discussed, what you would allow, what you wouldn't allow. I think it's fair to discuss those things. If you go from a small winemaker's license to just a winemaker's license, does that make a difference? Is that approval? Or if it's some other type of liquor license, probably need to look at it locationally to determine whether it still is locationally approved, acceptable.
Okay.
But those are considerations that I think if you put it on as an agenda item, we can talk about all those conditions. You can review them again and say, do we want to have annual reviews? Do we think we need to have other locational controls? And maybe to what extent you would. Maybe you'd say, yeah, if you go from a small winemaker to a winemaker, do you need to have anything? It's more structures that you're regulating and use and impact on neighboring properties and things of that sort. So to the extent it doesn't locationally change those factors.
I have two specific questions that, first of all, I agree with you. I think we should consider this slowly and know whether we need a public hearing or not. I certainly want to make accommodations
Right.
that need to be considered and negotiated. But I have two specific questions for you that I'd like you to look at if we're going to do this in 2 weeks. The first is the change in license type that she's requesting. Is there a conflict with Liquor Control Commission rules in that respect? And change in license type, I mean, from winemaking to retail sales is, that's clearly not what we would want to waive the control over. But so I'd like to know what the limits are in terms of what the state law would allow us to control. And then on the list of existing conditions, the second and third, amplified music and speakers outside the barn, those we did away with those already. I thought that we did do away with one of her other requests. At that time, she had asked about the East Main access, and I believe she had already asked about the increase in production. And she says that the increase in production has nothing to do with the Planning Commission. Again, the increase in production is based on the small winemaker. Is that a classification of license?
Yes, small winemaker is a class of license.
Okay.
So if they changed their license, that's where,
Yeah, I'd have to look at that too. I mean, the basic rule comes down to, we cannot put in provisions that conflict with the state regulations.
Yeah,
right.
We can regulate other things regarding that use, we just can't conflict with the state regulations. So that's really where, we can look at these items and address them at a future meeting, but we didn't address the access issue. Typically, if you're going to change your site plan and have a different access, so say before you said no access on East Main, that's not a conflict with state regulations. That's just part of the site plan.
Right.
That, but you can still address that. You can, again, you by mutual agreement waive any of those restrictions. If you feel it's appropriate that they have access on East Main, and there's no reason not to, then, you could allow that.
Would we need a new site plan for that?
You should, but what you
When they
typically
develop.
do is you would say, yeah, that you have to amend your site plan for that.
When they want a permit and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Were you were on the board when, why did they limit access to East Main? What was the motivation to do that?
It was the neighbors, because that East Main parcel is surrounded by homes.
Right, between two houses.
and when-
And did they object?
There were some complaints, and we tried to address those.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's quite a big space there.
Well, I think they have a 60-foot. Anybody remember what it was?
66-foot minimum?
No, the easement that they have, is it 60 foot? Okay, yeah, I don't.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, we need Attorney Thal to determine
Where there's a conflict with,
where there's a conflict with state law, first and foremost. And secondly, if we were to make changes
do we need?
in mutual agreement, do we need a public hearing for that? The other request here is requesting in writing to Soil Friends that their special land use with Comstock Township is in good standing, which, how would we address that?
Would that be done with the annual review?
Yeah, and I mean, just because you might waive your annual, they might waive the annual review. So I think it would just be addressed at the, whenever you take these issues up, you can address whether or not
I mean, in
their
technicality,
special
right?
land use is in good standing or not. I mean, if they're not in violation, if nobody's issued a violation to them, then.
Well,
it's
that's
in
the
good
thing,
standing.
right? If nobody has issued a violation for their special land use, say that 3 times fast, in theory, they're in good standing today, right?
Right.
So,
What other SLUs
Get inspected.
do we have that have
So-
reviews at all?
Yeah,
annual?
that's what I
As
want.
far as I'm aware, there's only 2. This is Soil Friends, because I think due to the residents around, particularly that noise that the neighbors were really concerned about when they first came through special land use. And the second one is 135 North 35th Street, address may be wrong, but it's North 35th Street, that Moberg wedding event barn. It can host 200 people. We require a annual review with him. He has not opened yet, so therefore we haven't had him come.
I was gonna say, when did that come through? Because we didn't review that at all last year.
No, that came through in 2023 or 4, if you can remember, and he has not opened yet. He is still completing construction. His parking lot's not even done yet. So, and the reason they put that condition for review is because there's alcohol, it was an alcohol issue. He won't have a liquor license, and so they just wanted to see how it was going with people with driving and alcohol, and so that's why I think they put that stipulation in.
Okay.
So I have a question. The annual review says special exemption used for 3 years. So was that for 3 years only that was supposed to be?
Yes.
Any fall? And what year are we in?
I believe that we were not, as we're in litigation, they were not open, so we didn't have anything to review.
So,
This would be the first time.
But the land use
For
was,
3
the special
years,
land
yeah.
use was approved. So is the land use, I guess that would be my question for you, Attorney Thal, like, are you approving, what is the date that the clock starts ticking on?
I think when you say 3 years for review, it is 3 years from when it's approved.
So where are we at with that?
2023, so April 27th, so,
So we're in the final year,
Yes.
in theory, as it is.
yep, last month.
We'll do this one and we're done.
So last
Or we
month
can
and we
waive
missed
this
it.
one.
Well, she wants a written thing, so I mean.
No,
we
like,
might
this is
call it
the last month, because they received approval
They're up to-
April 27th, 2023, so this is the last 30 days.
when was the wedding venue approved? Shouldn't it have started then, whether it's
It
open or
depends on the
not?
language too, that's used in the approval and what it says. But, when I read this language, it just says annual review for 3 years. So,
So the wedding barn was approved, let's say 2023, but what will we review if it hasn't opened yet?
and I don't know what the
Doesn't
review
matter,
even
though.
says. Is it limited to
But
3
to-
years? Is it,
To Attorney Fall's point, and what screams to me, okay, and this is not from this job, but this is from a job protecting business liabilities, okay, is not applying things consistently is a huge liability. And in this case of the municipality being our business, right? Like, we have to protect against that. I think it's probably important that we also look at the language on that event barn to know if we've not been, because if we've not been reviewing them and it wasn't specific that review needed to start after operation.
Yeah, it's,
And it just says that it needed to start, we needed to do 3 years of review. My concern is that we are potentially doing 2 different things with the same language. So I think we should review the language.
it's the same language. However, I would question if Soil Friends is open and Moberg has not even paved his parking lot. I don't know what we would bring forth, but so it's very.
That's a question for the attorney.
Unclear writing here, so they should have said at commencement of operation.
Right.
So that's why there is that discrepancy, I feel.
My concern is it leaves it open for judgment. Right.
yeah, because they might not even open for 3 years, then what are you really reviewing?
Sure.
So the language, could be tighter, I would say, but it is what it is. And then, we're just looking at it in this case, but yeah, we probably should look at how we apply it in the other case also. I can't tell you when he opened, in terms of when the 3 years started.
So, sounds like we need to address this at our next,
I mean, we should
meeting.
probably write down formally when businesses that need inspection, when that date starts, when they either opened or commenced business.
well,
or-
and we can do that going forward
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
makes no sense.
We can-
There's nothing to approve.
Right.
We can do that for sure going forward, but I'm talking specifically about Soil Friends. We need to put that on our agenda for next
Next time,
meeting.
yeah.
Right, unless you're going to waive that. Like if you, at your next meeting, if you talk about waiver of conditions, you can waive that condition even if you wanted to. So I mean,
We could do that now, though, right?
well, that's the question I have to look at is
Okay.
whether you need a public hearing to do that, because it's
To
a
waive
special.
the
Yeah,
condition.
I kind of think you don't, but I don't want to just say that and have us do all sorts of stuff and then do my research on it and find out that we have to have a public hearing on it.
Okay. So Casey and I will make sure that on the agenda for the next meeting, which is the 9th,
Yes.
that we address Soil Friends and if we can, if we, all of the things, for lack of a better word, for all of the concerns that are written in the letter and anything else that,
Right, you're asking me to analyze for
Right.
conflicts
Yes.
and your consideration of whether, you can just make revisions by mutual agreement. If a public hearing is required, then we'll talk about that at the next meeting.
Okay.
But if not, we'll just deal with it then.
If I may, Treasurer Bloomfield, can you send me these 3 emails? I don't know if I have them in my email inbox or not, but
I think there was only 2, Casey.
2 emails.
it's just the one.
I can forward.
Sorry, yes, those 2 emails, so I can put them in the next agenda packet. Thank you.
I just want to make sure everybody that I see this correct. I see 5 requests on here, basically. The 3-year annual review, change of license, increase in production, access to East Main, and hours of operation.
And a letter in writing, which I still am
Well,
unclear about
Yeah, that's not something
if we have to wait on that or not.
For what?
The letter that they're in good standing.
So, I mean, that would be, you can make that determination at next meeting if you wanted to.
Okay.
I mean, and basically that would be, do you have violations on the, are they violating the special land use as
Okay.
you address it?
Not right now.
Well, if they don't now, why would you not do it now
Well, I can-
instead of waiting?
I can check with our ordinance enforcement officer, Dakota, because right now we do not, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. But Dakota can look in his violation book and see if there is one. And I can bring that next.
So we can kind of add that as item 6,
Right.
for the next meeting.
Casey, can you also make sure in that agenda packet that we have, can we put in the full minutes from that? Because I know we have the excerpt here, but the full minutes from when that was approved, so we just, for those of us that weren't around, can
Yeah.
read.
Commissioner Nichols, there were 2 meetings for this. Do you know with the first meeting, it was just tabled, or I don't know if we need to have both meeting minutes, or if there was anything that was important from those 2 meetings they attended?
We were gonna table it, the first meeting, but we were told we couldn't.
Okay, so I will plan on putting the
So it
minutes
should
for
be
both-
2 minutes in
both
there.
meetings. Gotcha.
I would like to continue the discussion of the letter based on how things happened in this municipality. I would like to throw a motion on the table to have the chair write the letter based on today, previous, if there are no ordinance violations, to write the letter.
She could write the letter based on our discussion, correct?
I just made a motion, so you can amend my motion or support it, Greg, so.
Support.
Thank you.
Motion made for the chair to write a letter of standing for Soil Friends, good standing for Soil Friends. Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Commissioner Noack.
If I may clarify, is this instructing Dakota to look at the violation sheet tomorrow, or for me to come back on April 20th, April 9th, with confirming that there are no violations? 'Cause
There's no violations pending from yesterday previously.
Okay, confirmed?
We're not going backwards. We're going backwards. We're not going forwards. Like 2 weeks from now, he gets a violation based on this discussion here on this board. I think this board knows where I'm headed with this conversation.
I just haven't checked to see if there's
So,
violations.
I
so
understand.
I feel like
So,
we're speaking there aren't.
Casey, can you let me know?
I don't believe so. Sarah?
Received any violations?
Okay, just
Okay.
wanted to confirm that. I don't know off the top of my head. That's Dakota's job, but
Right.
Okay, so for the sake of discussion and motion, we know that there are no pending violations. So the ask is that I would write a letter effective where they stand today. Is that, I just want to understand.
Correct, yes.
Okay? Any discussion on that from anyone else?
I just feel that we're being pressured into this, and we have been advised by our attorney that we should discuss it more and have in our next meeting. I'm just wondering why it's so important to have this letter done right now and not wait till 2 weeks till we have a meeting where it's on our agenda. That's the way I feel. It's being pressured to write this letter ASAP. And I'm happy. I want Soil Friends to be great. I think it's a great place. I've been there myself. But why is it being pressured today, and why can't it wait 2 weeks? That's what I have to say.
Any further discussion? Then we will vote. So as a recap, the vote is going to be a yes, that I would write the letter as it stands today. If you vote no, I would not write the letter. Is that correct? So let's do a roll call vote, Casey, if we could.
Commissioner Nichols,
No.
Commissioner Noack,
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub,
Yes.
Chair Lawrence,
Yes.
Secretary Kreitzer,
No.
Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay. And then we will put the rest of this on the next agenda from there. Okay. That concludes new business. We have no old business, but under other business, we have the Tim Kearney text amendment request. Casey, can you just kind of bring everyone?
Yes, so if you all remember, Tim Kearney was here. He was the man who had the yellow folders about 2 months ago that he passed out. So there are two requests here. The first one, let's see what the first one is on this agenda, is he would like to add the verbiage, protective services to business service establishment description. So he is requesting a fee waiver for both these applications from the Township Board on April 6th. This is a time for discussion if you want to have it. If not, this will be on your agenda come April. So at the corner of River and King Highway at 5922 King Highway, DHHS is interested in opening an office, but they would like the opportunity to also house children in there if there are emergency removals. So it would be an office space with an option for a few beds for children, I think up to 3 days or 5 days, or it doesn't say exactly in his narrative, but there's that. And so we would want to work with Attorney Thal to see if this protective services would fit or exactly how this text amendment would go, if the fee waiver is granted. And then the second request is, again, in that yellow folder you all received, there's a site plan for a food truck. In our current mobile vendor ordinance, there is no permanent option. The permanent option is a site plan, as was agreed upon the Township Board and Planning Commission. He's requesting that we amend that mobile food vendor ordinance or mobile vendor ordinance to allow for a permanent or even seasonal option, as opposed to having to get a site plan and or having to do 7-day permits. So I know you guys are working on all of this already, the food truck ordinance. However, having an applicant-based item means it will be on every agenda, and so that's why he's putting that request in. Any discussion or questions, feel free.
So the one thing I'd like to throw out to us is, barring these text amendments, so one, I guess, Casey, comment for you is, I think it would be helpful for us if there is somebody at DHS that could give us guidelines for what that would look like in their lens and their point of view. What does that space need to look like? Because I think that's probably our best jumping off point, and I'd like to have that before we.
Well, even if it's allowed.
Right.
Yeah, putting beds in offices doesn't sound like a good idea. For kids, I mean.
My understanding is that it is a legitimate service that DHS uses. I just want to know what their expectations are of that facility. Does there have to be, what does the bathrooms have to look like? What are, does there have to be hygiene?
Seems like there should be a site plan if they're going to do that legally.
Right, I would agree. I just think we need to know what we need to look at for on the site plan before we can even begin to have an opinion about it.
He's asking that we make it a permitted or a special use. And what I'm lost with is we have no definition of a protective service. If we create a use, we need to know what that is. So someone needs to help us with a definition that we can use as a permitted or a special use.
Yeah, when these do come before you in April, I will ask Mr. Kearney to prepare or DHHS. I do have a contact with them to prepare a narrative. This is too vague for us to even begin to think of where to put it.
Right.
And so more details will be needed for sure.
Perfect. And then in terms of the mobile vendor piece, I guess I would just ask the board, just put some feelers out here of how do we feel about amending for seasonal annual, anything to that degree, because potentially we're going to have to solve this problem likely one way or the other and take a position. So if we can, I do think that there may be an effort of good faith here, if that's something we feel like we can, do we want to put that on do we have an opinion, want to get that on an agenda coming up so that we can start working on that concurrently with his request for these fee waivers? So I'll ask for opinions on that.
My opinion is that, yes, we should go ahead and have the public hearing and amend that ordinance to add that classification of a license. I mean, right now, it's, what, 2 weeks or something?
7 days.
7 days. I just add another classification of license to that and let the board set a fee, and we're good. That would be my solution. It should be there.
And still make it part of your site plan, so we know,
Not if there would be an application.
well, if the mobile vendor, but you still have to know where they're gonna go.
Not if it's a mobile vendor.
Yeah, it might be a mobile vendor that wants to drive around all year. I mean, the site plan is separate from the vendor license. We're just creating a new classification of a vendor license. If they want to park it permanently, yes, they would have to have a site plan. Yeah.
That's what, I would hate to see it permanently parked in the front next to the main dredge.
Oh,
But
he has to.
it's talking about in the drawing as permanent park.
Yeah, it says right here.
It says permanent park right in the drawing.
Yeah, I know what it says, but people tend to do some things however they feel like doing it.
I guess, if we create a permanent license, could they then just park it wherever they wanted to on someone's private property?
I
I
have a little bit of a problem with it in that if it's going to be permanent, it does need a site plan. If he's going to move it around all the time, then I would be okay with adding a line in the mobile truck for an annual fee or something.
That's all I was proposing.
But if he's going to park it permanent, I think it needs a site plan.
I don't disagree about, first of all, I think annual is better than a permanent permit, because if there's problems, it allows you the ability to
say no.
I think we also need to be very clear in the language, because we're running into some of the other situations we already have encountered tonight, and that's clarity of that. So we have a fairly full agenda next meeting, because we have some presentation on data center, maybe. Casey was.
Forgot to ask him.
Sorry, Attorney Thal.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. I presented on it already, so I can bring in a PowerPoint and
So our goal was to have a presentation from Attorney Thal on data centers at our next meeting. We now have Soil Friends on there. Do we feel comfortable adding mobile vendor to work through that as well? And I say this kind of with preface, that's why I wanted to kind of have some discussion tonight to see if we had if we have a fairly decent consensus on what we want to do, then I think we can add it, and we still would have to have a public hearing on it. So it would be our decision on an amendment, and then we would still schedule a public hearing.
I feel we gotta move quickly on this and get this resolved very quickly, because the season's coming here. And by the time frame, 2 weeks, and then it goes to the board, and all this time frame for 2 readings, you're talking another 6 weeks. I think we should add it to the agenda next week, our next meeting.
So then Tim Kearney would not need to ask for a fee waiver for that second application then?
I feel he needs to pay a fee for it.
Well, so are you guys choosing to take on the mobile? Because this is just a proposed application coming to you all.
Right.
He is requesting you guys to relook at the vendor ordinance. You already took it on by yourselves, but he plans on putting an application in and requesting a fee waiver for that.
I don't think that he would, my opinion is that he should not have to try to do a fee waiver for the mobile vendor ordinance. We acknowledge that there is confusion here, and we can clean that up.
So do we need an application at all?
I would defer to you and the attorney.
So I would say that it is up to the planning commission. You can always take up any issue. And it sounds like you have already gone down the road on this issue and want to take it up yourself.
I think in the case of the mobile vendor ordinance, you know, when it was first discussed, I was thinking it was an annual license, and then whoever that woman is that had experience in it came in and kind of told us, no, nobody's
we
going to
don't
want
like
an annual license. They're going to want a week or 2 weeks. And so that's how we wrote it. But again,
But it seems like the annual was what more people are interested in.
well, I think it should be available. And how it ties into the site plan requirement, that's where I'm a little hazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree, but someone might want that license and take it home to Ashtamo every night, but they might want to come here every day. So I'm not sure, you know, if.
Well, I got one question on it, because when we talked about the mobile vendors, we talked about their water, their electricity, and their self-contained. He's got them hooked to the building, so they're not self-contained. Now they're part of.
Well, he's both, though he's going to have it there most of the time. He wouldn't need a mobile vendor ordinance if it was parked on his property all the time. He's getting a mobile vendor ordinance because when he wants to, he wants to drive it somewhere and do an event or park it somewhere else.
But if
So he wants both.
if he's hooking into the facilities there, then it's a permanent structure at that point in time.
An ordinance.
And that means a site plan, doesn't it?
Well, he has a site plan for it. He shows it on his site.
Can I just
It's
weigh
going to
in?
be on his property.
Yeah, please.
Most of the time. But he wants to have he wants to be able to use it off-site also.
Go ahead, Attorney Fall.
So what I was going to say is, you know, a site plan doesn't have to be the same type of site plan for every use. You can have very detailed site plan standards for buildings and structures and then you can have a lesser site plan standards for other things. Something like, you don't have to make somebody go and have engineered drawings. Maybe if they have a site plan and they already have an approved site plan for the spot and they want to show you where they're going to locate something, yeah, that's where they have to locate it if you approve it, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have to go have, you know, an engineer draw the drawings. You can have lesser site plan standards that might, you know, maybe that plus some other things that you might
Plus
think
some
are relevant.
measurements, potentially.
Yeah, might be all that you need. A lot of townships will use they'll allow for a lot of different uses, just hand-drawn drawings that show measurements.
Allow that?
You know, you have overhead view. It doesn't have to be an engineered drawing. So I just would throw that out there.
Do we have to stipulate that, like that the standards would be different?
I think you would, in your.
We have very minimum standards right now for a site plan. I mean, we allow napkin drawings.
Yeah.
In certain circumstances, and I have no problem with that. I don't think the site plan requirements are the problem. I think the problem is this question of an annual license. I don't think we can tie people to a site plan requirement because they may not want to park it within the township. They may just want to come here every day. And we should let them do that.
You would still want, so when somebody applies for a mobile vendor license, you still want to know where it's going to be parked then. I mean, that's still going to be part of the licensing that, you know, it's parked under our ordinance.
Well, I think that's
We
in
had-
the application now.
We had some discussion previously that it would be like a site plan for a parking space, so that it would, you know, in theory, right, if you drove it away for a night or whatever, it's just when it is parked on said place, this is where it's going to be parked. Is that kind of what you would recommend?
Sure, because what happens is when you approve a site plan, so for a building, a store, whatever it might be, you approve a site plan, you have a set number of parking spaces that they have to have for that location. If the vendor is going to take up set parking spaces, you're going to have to make sure that they're still in compliance with your parking requirements. So it is important to know where it's going to be parked, kind of like, you know, so you can verify parking.
Right, and he does show it.
That could even be done administratively.
He wants to be able to drive it off-site too.
I want to say that just because they hook up to the water, that doesn't make them permanent. you'll see when people go to the Balloon Fest, they'll hook up to water right there. That doesn't make them permanent. It's just a,
It's like going camping and hooking
Yeah.
up.
I mean, so I think we're overthinking that a little bit there.
Well, and I was just saying, because that's what we talked about when we wrote the ordinance to begin with, that they were self-contained. Because we do have ordinances, if you pull a trailer into your yard or your house or a motorhome or something, you cannot hook them up to the resident. So this is, and if this is a year-round license and it's hooked into the water and sewer or water and electric on the building, I mean, I'm all for it. I don't care. I'm just bringing up the question that this looks permanent to me. Whether he moves it or he never moves it.
What it looks and how it functions is two different things. I mean, you gotta go somewhere to refill. You know, even if he brings it there full, maybe he hooks to water and leaves for the next day to somewhere else. I'm just saying, just because he's hooking to water doesn't mean it's a permanent structure with these.
Well, he'll have to remove it to get gray water out of it,
Correct.
that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Sounds like we want to tackle this on our next agenda, so we don't have to, again, things all to consider, and that way we come prepared with kind of how we want to discuss, amend, and go from there.
To Commissioner Weintraub's point, would it be nice to have the site plan review standards in the packet?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the zoning ordinance, it's 6.1A1C. There's only 5 things, and none of them are on his plan. So, you know, when it does become a site plan review, I know he's not the easiest person to work with, and I'm the last person to try to make it difficult to create a site plan. Like I'm saying, in most cases, you come in with a napkin and have a drawing, and it works. But those 5 things at least ought to be on there, like dimensions, for instance.
So yeah, if we can just include that, I think that's a good reference point. Great. Thank you, Casey. Any other, either Casey from you, anything else that we need to discuss on that point?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, then we will move on again to citizen comment. I won't read the whole paragraph, but you do have 3 minutes, and we'll open it up to the citizens.
I have a question about Reed's Party Store down there. They turned it into a daycare. I never see no kids there. What's going on with that? That's another question I have. We never see nobody in there. Is that one of those scams where they're getting money from the state to have a daycare and they're not there? There's never anybody there. I've seen a couple times, like on a Saturday, they have a party down there or something. But I don't even see no kids down there at all. So I think that's something that somebody's got to look into. I don't know how it is in there. I have never been in there because there's nobody, like I said, there's nobody there. And people have been wondering about that. They say now enrolling and there's nothing. I don't know if it was supposed to be a preschool or what it was supposed to be, actually. But I think that's something that, it's something for you guys to check out. So it looks kind of sketchy. Thanks.
The Soil and Friends comment about the second driveway off of East Main. I was one of the only ones that came to the meetings way back when. You got 2 members or 3 members on the board that could actually testify to that. I was one of the only ones sitting out here with Ben and Sarah. You had one neighbor across the street saying that he was not for it and everything, but also that neighbor tried to buy that little section of land so he could farm it himself. So kind of a conflict of interest and everything like that, like, that neighbor was just mad at Ben and Sarah and came, but it was the guy across the street, wasn't the two neighbors. From my understanding, the two neighbors on each side had no problem with it, other than, I don't know for sure. I never talked to those two neighbors or anything, but the guy across the street came in, but he was hot-headed, he was mad, he didn't want them to open, he wanted them to close. He was very against them even opening or anything like that. So I will say, you could probably look back in the minutes, I don't know if they will actually show that guy talking or what he commented and everything, but you only had one neighbor that really was hard-headed not to let them use that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's no additional citizen comments, updates from other boards? Seemingly no.
We did have a board meeting, and we approved a rezoning on Morrill.
A variance.
A variance on Morrill, where the house was demolished by a tree during the storms. The variance was 80 square feet, and I still haven't figured out how they ended up with 80 more square feet when they're using the same foundation and the same everything, the same footings.
They go up.
They went up 80 square feet. That's why we had to look at it. But they're using the same garage. They're going to keep that garage, and they're going to rebuild the house.
They did not go up. The house will be 1,040 square feet as it was. In my staff report, it said the minimum size house for that zoning district was 960.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so even if
that
we tried
was
to
the
build
80
the smallest
square
home
feet.
possible, they still could not meet our lot coverage requirements.
But the house was built in like 1957 before we had a board. So we approved it.
Good.
Sounds good. All right, training updates?
None.
Informational, you all saw in our packet, we had the solar, wind, and data center information that Casey provided for us. Anything you want to highlight on that?
I'll just go through. There are 3 different ordinance samples here: Van Buren Township Wind and Solar, Richland Solars, and Flushing Township Solar. So some in the area, some a little further away. There is also a UMitch Data Center Guidebook recently released. There's also a guidebook for community solar work. This probably isn't very relevant to us, but I figured UMitch materials, send it to you guys. If you like it, we can discuss it. If not, we'll toss it. And then you also have the planning and zoning guidebook from UMitch for solar systems. Looking ahead, if Attorney Thal is willing, April 9th we'll have a presentation from him on data centers. I talked to Sarah Mills, and she is booked and busy, so she would not be available until May to come present on either solar, wind, or data centers. And so she asked me if you guys could narrow it down to 1 or 2 options. So if we have Attorney Thal doing data centers, would you prefer to come to wind and solar as opposed to data centers? Okay, so I let her know that. She also told me to stay tuned. There is an effort in Kalamazoo County to gather local boards and township boards and planning commissioners and have a meeting where they are giving presentations. Instead of having them travel around Kalamazoo County to all the different boards, there is a discussion to have a joint place where everybody can go and learn. As that unfolds, I will put that in the training updates in a future meeting. Looking ahead to April, Emily Petz, as you all know from the Uptown Institute, she finally has her file uncorrupted. Took a few weeks, so she will hopefully be getting that final draft to me this week, or this coming week, and I will send it to you all. Our grant we received for this housing study was $50,000 from MISHDA, and there was a condition or caveat there that the money used from this grant be used to update our zoning ordinance / master plan. And so I said, hey, this housing study will eventually, but they need to see the results from this housing study implemented into our ordinance and master plan by July 20th. So that puts a little deadline. And so I know when Emily Petz came, we talked about priorities, and one of them was changing duplexes to by right, or ADUs from special land use to by right. So we may need to talk about more housing amendments as the time comes. And then I have a question for you, Attorney Thal. if we put this housing study into our master plan, that should satisfy the requirement to update our master plan. Do we need a notice of intent just to put something into our master plan?
Yeah, if you're going to add that to your master plan, then you have to go through the process to amend your master plan to add it, which will take some time to do.
So we couldn't just like plug it in the end? It would have to be?
No, because it is an amendment to it, so.
No.
And honestly, we wanted to look at it anyway, so I don't know that we want to amend it to just not, there was other work we wanted to do with it as well,
Right.
potentially.
So I guess I'd want to know a little bit more about the grant terms, because I don't know that it can dictate like that we change our ordinance. I think, typically it might say that we review it. Typically it would be maybe that we would look at those options in terms of our ordinance, but it doesn't mean that we have to necessarily. But again, I think we should check out the specific terms of that.
I'll confirm with you.
Attorney Thal, could you do that? Could you check out those terms so that we know what we need to accomplish for that?
Yeah, if Casey can find them and email them over to me, I'll look at them. Because I'm concerned about the amount of time it would take to amend our master plan, to add it in. You have to do a notice of intent, then we have to consider it, then it's, there's issues of it going to the board for distribution then to neighboring communities, comment periods, public hearing.
My concern is that it feels like we're at an ultimatum of we have to add it or we don't get $50,000, and I don't like being in that position. So I'd like to know exactly what we're really up against.
Yes, so I know Jody applied when she was here about 2 years ago, and so I will have to ask Scott for exactly what that grant was.
Right.
So I'll get it to you sometime next week, Attorney Thal. And then an update for a admin site plan review. R.W. Lapine has put in an application for a 2,000 square foot building. It'll be only used for office space, and as you know, that is not nearly as big as their other buildings. So it came through me administratively. 2,000 square foot, just offices at 5140 East M. So we see construction going on in the spring. It has been approved. And that's all I have for my updates.
All right, Planning Commissioner comments? Commissioner Nichols?
No.
Sherwood? Noack?
Nothing.
Weintraub?
Nothing.
Kreitzer?
Nothing.
Bloomfield?
Geez, you guys, come on, nobody has nothing to say? Okay, good meeting. Yeah, I think it was a good meeting. I think that we all need to keep in mind government overreach with our businesses. I think we have an issue in this township with government overreach. Thank you.
I don't disagree. Also, I just wanted to say thank you to Casey for all of the resources that she gave us and getting us ahead of kind of what we're trying to accomplish on our agenda so that we can be prepared and we don't have, like just a week to read this stuff. So great job with that. I really appreciate it. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.